Hey, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of Losing Your Mind with Chris Cosentino. I am here with my good friend, Sam Mason, and we have a special guest. Who are you?
Say, my name's Liam. Say hi.
Say something, Liam. Say something, Liam. Come on.
Maybe if we keep the mic in his mouth, he won't say anything for the whole interview. The whole podcast will be quiet.
He's now chewing animal crackers.
And just something.
And that's Liam, everyone.
That's Liam. Okay.
So,
Nice to meet you, Liam.
okay. So, Sam, we've known each other for years.
I don't even know if we've quantified how long we've known each other.
How long we've known?
I
Yeah.
don't know if we've put it to a calendar yet.
Which is probably not a good idea because it'll date both of us. But, I remember sitting down the first time having dessert with you. Yeah. Yeah, Daddy makes good ice cream and desserts, and now your dad milks cows, which is not what I ever expected. And we're going to get to that in a minute. But I remember sitting down, having dessert, and being perplexed and being provoked to think. You really helped change that paradigm of the way desserts were being looked at by utilizing savory, but also rethinking presentation, what works with what, and how to redo things. And I think
What venue is this?
I'm thinking the first time I really sat down was at WD-50.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that experiment that was WD-50. Hey, I'm gonna need you to pipe down. That experiment was so overwhelming. Like, it was so intellectually, as far as food goes, it was so intellectually free. Having Wiley at the helm and Fran Derby and all those guys. Like, I wish everyone, and I should also say this: this happens more than not now, but back then it was new. It was new territory as far as, like, walking into a kitchen and having full creative, just like, let's just rip shit up today. Let's just throw things together and hope they work. I guess it was kind of like that El Bulli, kind of like a Linea thing, where it's just like overthink everything.
Yeah. It was inspiring what was going on there.
Well, it was also great because
You had freedom.
I had not only freedom, but being the pastry chef at WD-50 didn't mean you made the desserts every day. It meant I probably came up with more savory dishes than I did desserts in that place, because Wiley it just didn't matter. It's like, if you have a good idea, it's a good idea. So it was a great overlap of. It was a great way to move techniques around the kitchen, which I thought hadn't been done yet, or it hadn't been done enough yet.
I agree. There was things going on there that I still can't. Even though I have the book, and you and I have talked about hundreds of things that have gone on there, like, I still can't process the techniques for some of it, and that to me is what was amazing. But the key component for everything was that it was always delicious.
You know what's funnier? All right, here you go. What's even funnier is, so when speaking of the book, we all got back together to shoot the books, to kind of execute some of the dishes and get ready to shoot the photographs for the recipes. I swear to God, what was it? It must have been 5 years. No, so it was a decade after I worked there. I couldn't even remember how to execute my own dishes, because it's like my brain had totally shut off from whatever hydrocolloids and just like these very specific techniques. So when I tried to shoot it, thank God for Malcolm, who was the pastry chef after me. He was there to help me facilitate the dishes that I came up with. And I was just like, it was like an era had ended and my brain had shut off. And if I had to do it again right now, I don't even know if I could. It seems like it's such an intimidating environment out there with, like, cuisine. Like, everything's so good now. I feel like I would be I would never have started what we started at WD-50 if it was now. It's
interesting but I think part of the reason for that is because now there's more access to knowledge than ever.
Yeah,
you guys were creating that and pushing those envelopes. I'm sorry, Liam, did we miss something?
He wants to know why these things are so dehydrated and crispy at the same time, why they have no cell structure. Thank you. I see now I see like these hydrocolloid handbooks and stuff, and they have a lot of our recipes in them. And I look back, and those manuals are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and more people are contributing, and just like, it's just huge. It's like the amount of techniques that have been established. This is one of the funnier stories I have from WD-50. It was probably third year, and we were going for it. We were having a blast every day. We were coming up with techniques that had never been thought of before. And one night, it was a Friday night, at one table we had Heston Blumenthal with a 4-top, and we had Albert Adria. No, it wasn't even Albert. It was his brother. So, and they didn't know it. They didn't even schedule this. They just happened to be at 2 different tables. So we're like, okay, what do we cook for these people? I'm as intimidated as I could possibly be. So we put together a menu, and we thought it over 3 times. I had a CO2 tank going into the ice cream machine to make carbonated celery sorbet. we were just going for it. It was like there was only 2 tables in the dining room that mattered. And afterwards, Ferran came in. Well, everyone came in, and Ferran's wife translated, and he was saying how much what a good time. Oh, everything's great. Blah blah. You hope it was, but then he started asking questions about how we did things. And Wiley was looking at me kind of like through his glass, just kind of like, well. He's like, do we tell them how we did it? I go, this is the only person you tell how you do things, because he's going to figure it out anyway. Well, we might as well be the reason he figured it out. So we sent him back to Spain with a huge bag, like a kilo of compressed tapioca maltodextrin and a couple of different techniques. And I swear to God, the next time we saw those techniques, he had improved on them tenfold. But it was just funny remembering him not knowing how we did something and us being like, do we show him? Yeah. He's the one person we show. Yeah. We'll run with this one.
See, but that's amazing because, our industry is so much about creativity and thinking and learning, but also more so now than ever, it's about sharing, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's nice. It's nice to establish a technique and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's so watered down. It doesn't even matter. I'd rather be remembered as someone who did something, to be a part of something, as opposed to certain techniques and stuff.
For sure.
And that was probably a John Louis thing. And you see this whole John Louis thing's going on now, where they're doing a documentary.
No.
Yeah, I missed out on it. It was in D.C. a little while ago, and they're putting together. His daughter is putting together. Vivian is putting together a documentary about him. She's part of it. I'm not sure how many people are part of it. But I cried just thinking about it. But they're doing a dinner there's a dinner coming up. I saw it. It's like Danielle. It's John George. It's Michael Ganor. It's all these people, and they're putting together it's at Tribeca.
Oh my God, dude.
And I don't know. It's $330 a plate.
I know, but it's worth every minute of it.
Yeah, I know. Well, we were both obviously highly touched by that human being. That sounded dirty than it should have been. What?
French fries.
Oh, they're a little warm. We're gonna.
I think we're
No,
good.
you guys are good.
We're eating, by the way, so don't mind the.
You know what? This kid, if he doesn't eat, he turns on the heat. They're a little warm, buddy. Let's see them. I want to see your face if you eat one. Let's see how warm they are.
He didn't even get it to his face.
He just dropped it. Oh,
we got one. We have a winner.
Yeah. All right,
good boy. Do you want some ketchup?
Oh, we haven't gotten into that messy stuff yet.
No, we're going to keep you clean because I don't need Tara yelling at me. There's some gnocchi for him, too.
Oh, my God, they're so good.
So when I think about...
Nope, not yet. Not yet.
So let's kind of go... Let's bring up Jean Louis. To me, that's really important. You and I have both been fortunate enough to spend time with him. You spent more time with him than I did, and I envy that because he imparted a lot in us. In the short time that I spent with him, he really ingrained quite a bit. But I think people look at chefs now and they look at us in our industry and they say, well, how did they get there? Well, what did they do to get where they are? And I think that's really important because a lot of people don't realize how much time we give up.
Yeah, all of it. I mean, I had a kid at 45 because of cooking.
That's a really valid point. I mean, and I think, just kind of give people the short or the long list, however you want to do it, of how you got to where you are now and what to get to now, what is now Oddfellows. And you now own a dairy. You're working with a dairy farm direct.
Farm, yeah.
You bought a dairy farm. I mean, the last guy in the world.
What's the term? You bought the farm?
You bought the farm, yeah. The last guy in the world I thought I would be saying is, hey, by the way, anybody want to go watch Sam Mason milk a cow? Like, I never thought I would hear that.
Well, there was that one party.
Yeah.
I don't know. The John Louis thing for me was complete luck. I mean, my whole life has been lucky. But the John Louis thing, I just graduated culinary school. If you throw one more French fry on the ground, buddy, that'll be lights out. So I just graduated culinary school, Johnson & Wales, in 1994. I moved to New York City, the big city, and I work first job right out the gate. I worked for Charlie Palmer at Oriole.
No joke to start off the
not a bad first gig.
That's like walking into working.
Except I worked for Dan Rundell, who was the biggest prick ever. God, he was so bad. I hope you're listening. He was just like, he was whatever. The coolest thing about him was he was a drag queen. The worst thing about him was he was a pastry chef, because he just was such an asshole. Like, he was like the guy who wouldn't give you the recipe to do something. He would tell you how to do it, so you didn't know, like, possess the recipe, but you'd have to make it every day. Like, he was really. How does that work? It didn't, and it didn't matter. I was on a cutting board on a garbage can in the basement. Anyway, I left there, and I went to Park Avenue Cafe with David Burke and Dan Budd, and Dan Budd was the most gracious, glorious pastry chef I've ever worked for. Like, just a sweetheart. Will you put that in your mouth, please? Speaking of sweetheart.
Just let him. It's okay. We have a floor. It's all good. If he throws French fries, we're okay. We gotta. It's not a carpet. We're all good.
So whatever. I'm at Park Avenue Cafe for a few years. I'm sleeping there some nights because it's just you getting your ass kicked.
Well, I mean, those were a different time. I mean, that restaurant was monumental.
I mean, you're working 90 hours a week. Like I said, on some days you just slept there because it didn't make sense to go all the way back to Jersey City to sleep on a PATH train. And then my buddy, who I'd worked with, he was actually also my college roommate, was like, "Oh, I'm in Vegas and I'm working at this place called Voodoo Cafe on the top of the Rio, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "Oh, can you give me a job? I want to come to Vegas because I'm 19 and it's going to be great." And he's like,
That's scary.
He's like, "I could get you a job here, but there's this guy opening up in the ground floor named John Louis Paladin, who I could get you a job with." I'm like, "Okay, I'll Google him." So whatever, I decide that this is what I want to do. I move out to Las Vegas, and I remember the first time I sat down with John Louis, I had my sketchbooks with all my desserts, this architectural nonsense. And he looked at them and he just hated everything. Not a one thing in that book did he like. And he's sitting there, he's in his tight jeans, and he's got his Versace loafers are just kind of off, and his socks are wiggling. And for some reason, I don't know what I said or what right things I said, but I could tell he hated everything that I'd ever made. And he's just like, "You're hired." That was it. 19-year-old from Jacksonville, Florida. He's going to be the pastry chef for John Louis Paladin at the Rio Hotel at Napa Restaurant. And that next 2 years was just a whirlwind. Just like, we were just doing these huge events in the back lot of Paramount Pictures, where we're just wrapping oysters with caviar and breading them in brioche and frying them. And it was insane. He was like my father until the end. And then we came back to New York, and we opened up Paladin in Times Square, which just wasn't a right fit. And in those years, I remember I was a pastry chef, and there was a lot of other people in the kitchen, and he would just look at me and go, "Sam, take off your apron. We're going to L.A." And I would just be like, I'm going to L.A. And I know the rest of the staff were just like, this asshole. He's getting in the back of John Louis' Mercedes with their 2 girlfriends and going to L.A. and staying, you know, Chateau Marmont for the weekend. And they're just staying there working. But that's what it was. My girlfriend was best friends with his girlfriend. And he was just like, we were just buds. I would get wasted in jacuzzis, and he'd drag me out after drinking a whole bottle of grappa. Yeah, that's pretty much what it was.
It was a different time.
It essentially was, yeah, it was just that.
I mean, I would say he pretty much single-handedly changed the way food got to the table.
Yeah, and you know what the only problem with that restaurant was it was an open kitchen, and John Louis did not give a flying rat's ass that it was an open kitchen, because he was still going to throw something at his cooks' heads and still, you know, say bad things about their sex life. He was just
okay.
brutal.
Let's remember what was the quote, the best quote ever from Jean-Louis.
Wait, which one are we talking about?
If you cook,
do you cook like that? Do you
fuck
do you
like
fuck
you
like that?
do you fuck like you cook? Because if you do,
do you fuck like this?
he always had a comment to like stop you in your tracks and be like, "Oh shit."
Mind you, he's dating a 22-year-old.
Those were different times.
But there was also one day where I mean, obviously he would walk in. There was a few different parts of John Louis that I remember. I mean, I remember everything. But he would come in. He was the first one there every day. Like you couldn't beat him in. It was impossible. You would come in. He'd be sitting on the carpet in the dining room. We had a carpeted dining room. Who the hell has a carpeted dining room? He'd sit on the carpet with 900 yellow pages of paper, handwritten menus just laid out, and he's just putting together ideas. And the ideas, every page is just gold. And you know, he'd leave. He'd go to Starbucks and read French newspapers and probably have sex with his girlfriend. And then he'd come back right before service, and no matter what we had planned,
he'd change it.
So it's like every station was just like, oh, awesome. So I have another dish on my. Oh, I have to turn potatoes for this dish. Torn out potatoes. Oh, I got to torn out potatoes. Sweet. So it didn't matter. You were never ready for service, just because he would come in and be like, "Hello, guys. Hello, guys. Okay, no good." And you know, he would just change everything. And the poor sous chef de cuisine, I guess, bless his heart, would just have to deal with this. And you know, another thing that he would do, he would, like I said, he would throw something at your head. He would call your mother really bad things. And at the end of the night, when service was over, it was like nothing had ever happened. He would buy all the guys beers. He'd shoot pool with them. He'd give them noogies. The next day, oh really? That's what we're doing? We're breaking plates? The next day, you know, when the bell rang, you're fighting this human being.
He knew how to separate
the
moment
from...
from...
The passion was just like, he was never really mad at you. He was mad at how you did things. For instance, this girl, I remember this girl vividly. It was family meal. You know, we made a great family meal. Like, there was a lot of good food to be eaten at family meal. But she was so in the weeds. She had a huge thing of risotto to make. She was real in the weeds. It's like an hour and a half before service. She decided just to, you know, pile a bit of food on her plate and just kind of try to eat as fast as she could. Like, I just need to put some food in me and get back to work. I'm not going to sit down. I'm going to stand up. Oh, John Louis doesn't like that. John Louis, I can't quote him on what he said, but the premise was, if you don't respect the food that you're putting in your body, how can you respect the food that you're making for other people? And I was like, you're also going to yell at her when she's not ready for service. Like, you're not going to win this battle, woman. But he was so mad that her plate looked like shit, and she was just trying to eat it really fast, that he yelled at her in front of everybody. I was just like, good God. I'm glad I'm going to L.A. tonight. Ooh, I'm glad I'm going to L.A.
So you were there for 3 years. 3 years. And then you moved to New York to open Paladin. And then you were working with Wiley. You were working.
No.
Didn't Wiley work there?
Oh, we opened with John, Paladin with Wiley, and then his father ended up with the 71 Clinton project, and he's like, I gotta go. And then, you know, and Wiley and John Louis loved each other. They just didn't see eye to eye on a lot of like things, and Wiley just isn't that aggressive in the kitchen, and John Louis is
Very
the opposite.
aggressive.
So I don't think that was ever a match made in heaven. So he left us for 71, which eventually brought me WD-50, thank God. But I actually left Paladin because it was going down the tubes, and John Lee was getting sick.
Yeah.
I actually left for Rocco, and Wiley. John Lee was very upset about that. But I did that, and then I went to Paul Lee Brandt, and then to Wiley. That was my triangle of craziness. If you throw one more French fry on the floor, my little man, there it is on the floor.
It's okay. He can throw them. It's all right.
No, let's try the gnocchi.
Oh, dude, eat those. Another form of potato. They're round and not fried.
You look like a potato. Nope, you eat that. Watch this.
I think he just said my gnocchi was yucky. Yeah. So,
Are you just not hungry?
and I think one of the things that's people talk about the tyrannical terror and the craziness and whatever. He had more knowledge in his big toe than I could have ever fill a library of cookbooks, but he was so willing to share it. There was no hiding information, and he would only get mad in the moment. He would never. It was done when it was done. Yes, he did hold grudges if you left.
Yeah.
He wanted you to be part of the family and stick with the family, but he did care immensely about education, next generation, passing the torch. It was big for him.
Well, there was a story, and I've heard it from him. I don't know how true it is, but the Eric Repair story. When they were together, Eric Repair was a young line cook, and John Lee was John Lee. And I'm assuming this was at the Watergate, and John Louis was probably a maniacal mess, probably taking women into the parking garage and to his Mercedes while their husbands waited at tables.
I'm sure.
spending $2,000 on dinner. But the way I heard it, the way it was spoken was, Eric finally gave up and was just like, you know what, screw this. Took his apron off, left the line, went to the locker room, going home. Sat there for a little while, it seems. And at one point, just like, shit. Puts his apron back on, comes back upstairs. This is after a huge screaming match. Puts his apron back on, comes back upstairs. And John Lee looks at him and goes, you ready to cook? And Eric says, yeah, we, chef. And that was it. Brothers, father and son, I guess, for the rest of their lives. And that's how it was. He's going to come down on you. He hopes you, take it, for lack of a better term, and came back up, and that was it. They were blood, they were blood after that.
Thick as thieves.
Thick as thieves.
So you've since, from that, I love this. This is so amazing. Sam, watching this, you and this little man right here, it's amazing. He's having the most fun throwing French fries, and it's driving you crazy. And it's driving you crazy, but I love it.
Do you want something that's not a French fry? Like a knuckle sandwich?
No, he wants tickle missiles. So one of the coolest things I think was, when you were at WD-50, you not only worked on savory dishes, you worked with cocktails, you did so many different things. And then you branched out and opened Taylor.
Oh, yeah, Taylor.
That was a game changer. You were ahead of the curve. And I know it's kind of a sore subject for some people but I think it's really relevant and very important because you went after it 110%. You had a crazy cool bar program. It was you and Francis. It was insane. I ate there multiple times and had a blast every time.
I had Evan Freeman making cocktails. Not only Evan Freeman, I had Alex Day. I had the dream team of I had mixologists working under Evan that are all running their own awesome programs right now. And I'm just like, hey, you know what the problem was? There was a lot of problems. We spent way too much money. We were too ambitious. I was drinking too much. The economy totally shit the bed. And all this was a perfect storm. It was overzealous in every aspect. My partners, me, the way looking back, my first menu probably had a 45% food cost, maybe 50. Just like not smart at all. Like maybe throw a pasta on there, Mason. Like figure out. Maybe don't do the foie gras with the piquito crab and the octopus garden. So yeah, so I think what we did there, I'm super proud of it, and it didn't make it, but I feel like anytime anyone engages me in a conversation about it, it's always positive. You know?
It was amazing. It truly, I mean, and that's where you, Franny, and I really started to become great friends. Was that, you know, I remember coming in there that night, I'm like, hey bro, what do you need? Because it was literally, you had just opened in Star Chefs. It was the first Star Chefs, and everybody was piling in the door.
We had a party there, I think.
Yeah, it was nuts. I'm like, where do you need me, and what do you need me to do? And Franny literally put me to work, like, right that moment. He was like, I need to set hands
You
over
got
here.
back at him, though. You've gotten back at him.
Back at him. But it was the best, you know, and I think you set a trajectory for folks to rethink how to do things, how to look at beverage programs, how to look at what is the crossover between savory and sweet, and really how to do something fun.
Yeah, and I mean, it's hard. As with WD-50, it's really hard being ahead of the curve because no one really knows how to interpret you. Oh my God, you're killing me. No one knows how to interpret you. But then after you give it your all and you finally just can't make it, it comes back around, and the people who try it next can get away with it because they're like, oh, there's a reference point now. Now we know how to do this. So every now and then there's someone thrown out in the front, and sometimes that happened to be me. But yeah, that opening was nuts. I remember there's like, oh, there's a four top out there. It's John George and Bill Murray. I'm like, oh, this ought to be great. And it was like, oh, and Michael Stipes on one table, and yeah, it was a fun opening, and it was debaucherous, which probably didn't help the cause. But now I got this guy, so everything's okay. So
you now have then you started focusing on bars.
Well, no.
You did Empire Mayo.
I did the mayonnaise. Yeah, the mayonnaise company is another thing that's just like shit. It's just too hard to be ahead of the curve. Someone finally, Heinz is someone's gonna pick up that slack. I had the TV show for a little while.
Yep, that's
right.
The
TV show was right after Taylor closed because I had nothing going on. So I did this TV show called Dinner with the Band, which was awesome. You know, what's better than cooking with Murder City Devils and and drinking beer and listening to live music. So after that, I had a little chunk of change in my pocket because I never paid the tax man, and then I opened Lady J's.
Lady J's is rad.
Lady J's is, that's exactly what you want a bar to be. It's just like this place where it's like the Cheers for the Brooklyn type. It's like you might not like the people that come in there every day, but you deal with them.
It's awesome.
And Liam was there when he was 2 weeks old.
And he was ponied right up to the team, and they were making him milkshakes
right now.
I think this is amazing. So you have Lady J's, and then you start Oddfellows.
Yeah, Mohan, my business partner, was like, listen, he's like, I want to start an ice cream company. I have no idea how to make ice cream. I'm like, all right, I can help you out. So we go back and forth, and he's looking for venues. And I finally get to the point where I'm just like, why don't I just open this with you as opposed to consult or whatever I'm doing, And that was almost 7 years ago, over 6 years ago. And now we have a dairy farm in Rhinebeck and 62 Guernsey cows, all named.
Really?
I don't know any of the names. Their tags are on their ears. You can just see it.
So you have a couple different locations. Brooklyn.
Yeah, 6 now.
6. You go to Lower East Side. Walked by the other day.
Just opened Boston last month.
Oh, congratulations. Yeah. And so you're doing these amazing flavors. So give kind of like the run of flavor profiles that you're having fun with.
I mean, we've always kind of played on the edge, which can bite you in the ass, obviously, whether it's a miso cherry flavor, or, smoked almond and smoked almond butterscotch, things that are a little more off-putting, I guess. But I think what separates us from other ice cream shops is the textural elements. Like lemon meringue pie, for instance, is a lemon-based ice cream with like not huge, but big chunks of lemon curd and chunks of burnt meringue. Oh yeah, did I forget something? Chunks of burnt meringue and then the graham cracker. So it's like liquid nitrogen obviously helps me get a lot of texture. You are losing your mind. You want your water? But we're finding, now that we have this larger facility up in Rhinebeck, Red Hook, New York, we're finding it's hard to kind of translate some of these flavors to mass production. So that's where all my time's been lately.
Really? So working on like consistent.
Like going up there and like trying to figure out how to get what I've started in this, little log cabin and make it in this giant. Like there's a 300-gallon fat pasteurizer up there that's 300 gallons. It's huge, and it's like piped through all these stainless steel pipes, and it goes through a homogenizer and a plate cooler into a 900-gallon holding tank, into more pipes, into a continuous freezer, and when it all comes out, you're like, oh, this is a little bit different than what I make.
Well,
because mine came out of a bucket, went to a machine, came out. Like, so I'm just like trying to scale up has been an issue.
What's his favorite ice cream?
He's only had ice cream twice.
Are you afraid for how much sugar content he gets?
I just look how chubby he is. I'm worried about him.
Oh, he'll be fine.
He just ate a whole plate of French fries and threw a whole plate on the floor. You okay?
Yeah, he didn't eat a whole plate. He ate about 5. All the rest are on the floor.
Oh my God, there are a lot on the floor.
I love it. So talk a little bit about what the change is now for you. I mean, other than just figuring out scaling up to bigger and the flavor changing. You have traceability of your dairy. That's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean those cows work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, no matter what. Like they don't stop. There's sometimes we just throw away milk. Like it's like, oh, we have 200 gallons of milk. Can't use it. It's ready to go. We're caught up.
So is that something you can donate to schools? Is it?
It would be more of an issue bottling it than just knowing that there's more milk tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah, and it's only happened once or twice, but it's a hiccup.
That's crazy to even think about that.
And the cows they're A2 protein, so they have the A2 protein. Are you familiar with that?
No.
It's a certain breed and type of cow, and what are you doing?
He's got both fingers up his nose right now. It's pretty amazing.
Hey, Daddy said do this. Stop that. That's not something you do.
He's going to continue doing it because you're trying to stop him.
That's not even the right hole. Please stop.
This is amazing.
You know what? You've never been this much of a nightmare before. If you throw it on the floor.
He's hysterical. So what is this again with the dairy?
It's a type of protein that if you're lactose sensitive, you're actually fine drinking.
Really
it's easier on your stomach than regular lactose.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and it's something we should promote, and we will promote when we finally do our new packaging. And it'll be the new thing. When you see A2 milk,
that's cool.
If you're lactose sensitive, and lactose intolerant, you're still screwed.
So, how has it been learning to transition from having to monitor what I like to call our children, which are employees, staff,
oh my God, there's still more headache than this guy.
But now having one of your own. I mean, you've got this little monster here who likes throwing French fries and having fun and wants daddy's attention. And he wants to march around with his cool shell toes on.
Yeah, he thinks he's cool.
It's tough. It's tough to make the change.
I mean, yeah, it's been rough. I feel like he's definitely taken my attention away from work, which has always been my life. Most women haven't been able to take my attention away from work, and that's how a lot of relationships fail. His mother did a good job of taking my attention away. Then he came along, and now my attention's totally shot. So I feel like, it's like I'm at work, 6, 7, going on in the 8th hour. I'm just like, I think I'm done. You know, it used to be like you were on hour 12 and you're like, I think I'm done. Now I'm just like, I'm going home. I'm going to go hang out with this little midget. So he's definitely impeded creativity as of recently. I mean, it could come back again,
But I think what the coolest thing is about kids is it allows you to be a kid again and think a little more freely.
yeah, I mean, he's inspiring. There's no doubt about that. I mean, I spent all day at the damn science museum.
That's amazing.
Oh, I was playing with things. I was like touching lasers, and I was like, well, this is cool. I might have just had a kid, so I go to Disney World again.
Dude, that's totally. You just want to go to the new
I just
Star Wars.
I just wanted to go to the new Star Wars exhibit. That's why we did this.
We're going to Star Wars. We're going to go see Jabba the Hutt.
I know you don't know who Jabba the Hutt is because you look like Jabba the Hutt. But yeah, I mean, I think I wouldn't say work suffered, but it's taken a small back seat.
You've prioritized.
Yeah, and I don't worry about it at all. I mean, I'm having a blast.
You've earned it.
I've got a lot of French fries to clean up.
Nah, we got that. Oh, he likes tickle missiles too.
He likes him some Cosentino. He likes your watch too.
I know he does. He digs my watch.
He's like, your watch is way nicer than Dad's watch. Dad's watch is plastic.
No, it's not. It's nothing that fancy. So what is it? The flavor profiles and the changing. Are you finding it a lot more difficult than you expected because you're doing bigger volume now with this new processing?
I think it's more the dynamic of the machines, the equipment. You know, when you're doing a continuous batch freezer, and it's just, and you have after the batch freezer, sorry, not batch freezer, after the continuous freezer, you just have these inclusion feeders and like ripple pumps. The way they interact with the ice cream when it comes out at the end, it just comes out of a 1.5 inch tube.
Oh, so it's squeezing everything.
It's just pushing everything out, and it doesn't.
He's patting me over here.
He's
poking me. He's like
prodding.
He's prodding.
It doesn't have the. It's not as sexy as when you when you put it in by hand, and you like, but also putting it in by hand is the most impractical way to do it ever. So it's like you got to kind of sacrifice that sexiness for that mass production that allows you to generate revenue. I'm never going to make money on doing the way I do it. No,
and I think that's a really big thing that I think people have a difficulty talking about is what is the difference between keeping it small and then growing it and keeping the quality high, but also being able to financially do well, because you can't.
I mean, we lose more money than we, it's a losing thing. It's not even like a make more money. It's like we can't afford to do this unless we
do this.
Scale up. Yeah, I mean, that's where we're at. I mean, in a perfect world, I would scale up and I would, make, the lion's share of my ice cream, big batch, and I would keep a few unique flavors that I could not lose money on, but I could lose labor money on, and really produce in an intimate setting.
And that makes it. I mean, also people love to come and watch.
Yeah. I mean, to have a visual production, I think is pretty awesome.
So, what has it been like dealing with the dairy? I mean, is that just amazing, or is it overwhelming? Or
no, because we have a partner who handles it, it's his farm, and he handles all of that. Like, that's his thing. He's awesome. I can't wait for you to meet Van. He puts all that on his shoulders, so it's like not necessarily part of something we have to really deal with. We get to see the cows. We get to hang out with them. I get to make ice cream at the factory, but for the most part, we've got people on the farm who deal with all of that, and it's a lot of work. Like that thing. Are you banging your head?
Mm-hmm, he's banging his head. Chairs are padded.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
The farm itself is its own monster of a machine. Like 62 cows, like being robotically milked every day.
That's a lot.
And feeding them, and
it's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah,
so you also
62 times 4 is how many moving legs it is.
Oh my God, that's a lot. And you also mentioned that there's some things going on up there as well. There's a drive-in theater still.
Oh yeah, it's a walk-in theater.
Walk-in.
Yeah, we're doing a hamburger, like a greasy hamburger stand in Rhinebeck.
Nice.
So it'll be like this, onion rings and milkshakes and malts, and you pull up this little parking lot, but in the back there's going to be like this huge screen, and you can just come and drink beer and watch movies on a large screen, but It's walk-in. It's not drive-up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it'll be fun, and it's been there for years. Like it's like an old, it's got the angle roof. It's got the big sign outside that's going to be changed at Oddfellows, and it's going to be really retro.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm gonna
see. That's
I
magic.
just want to go make corn dogs for a little while.
That's cool. That's great. All right, so I think this one is at his max.
Oh man, he's losing it.
You need to eat, but I'm gonna do a quick fire, okay? And we're gonna do this real fast. Okay, ready? Red or white?
Oh my God, red.
Okay.
I don't know why I said that.
Sashimi or nigiri?
Oh, sashimi.
Hot dog, hamburger.
A hamburger.
Okay, bourbon, tequila.
Oh man, that's rough.
I knew it.
Are we talking summer or winter?
There are no wrong answers.
You know what? Yes, last year I would have said bourbon. This year I'm going to say tequila.
Okay. Beer or cider?
Beer.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke. What is Pepsi?
I don't know. I heard it's this product. Chocolate, fruit.
Fruit. You act like I passed a test. That's not true at all. Don't look at me like, good job. No. There's some real losers in that one for me.
Yeah, there are. Beef and pork.
Pork.
Nice.
What was the red or white?
Wine.
Oh, I didn't even apply that to wine when you said it.
You like red color.
Oh.
So, Sam, you like to wear red. That's nice.
You know what? I would have said white wine. I said red color.
Okay.
Yeah, red or white.
Okay.
I should have known that was a wine question. I should have said rosé.
Both.
Cuvée.
Awesome. Hey, dude, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. Hey, Liam, do you have anything else to say? What's up?
Oh, thank you very much.
He's adorable. He's super cute.
Why will you talk if you don't have a microphone in your mouth?
Okay.
All right, bye.
All
Say
right.
bye. We love you.
Well, guys, everybody, make sure you check out Oddfellows. You can order ice cream online. It can be shipped to you FedEx. Sam's got some amazing flavors out there, and there's a lot of info to share. And Liam right now just wants the big red puffy nose that's
Liam,
on
red or
this
white?
microphone.
Red
What do you
or
want?
white?
What do you like? What do you like, little man?
Tequila.